Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the Underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The Underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the Underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun, and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Underworld podcast, your weekly source for all the latest breaking Star Wars news, rumors, and discussion. And this week, as we inch ever closer to the release of Andor on Disney+, we are looking back at Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and specifically looking back at watching it in IMAX this week, because that happened, and some of us were able to do that, and it was a lot of fun. We'll also be talking about some recent comments from Rian Johnson about the legacy of The Last Jedi 5 years later. And I think the most upsetting part of that is that it's been 5 years since The Last Jedi, because it still feels like yesterday. And of course, we will be making another big announcement about the Star Wars Underworld Network. We couldn't do another show without doing another announcement. I think that's 4 in a row now. I think that's 4 in a row. So we'll just keep it rolling. I think they might be slowing down in the next couple of weeks, but for now,
no, we'll find more things. Look, new announcement. I got a new Lego set. Yes, that's the new announcement. Yay.
Hey, worthy announcement. Worthy announcement. We'll be getting into all that and so much more here tonight on the Star Wars Underworld podcast. First, though, introductions are in order in case you're new to the show or you've forgotten who we are. That can happen. My name is Dominic Jones, and with me, as always, he's the founder of the Star Wars Underworld, Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
Hello, Dominic. Hello, everybody.
Nobody else.
We've got a lot to discuss this week. I had a lot of fun revisiting Rogue One in the IMAX. That was definitely a highlight of my week, and also the Andor footage. Got to see a good bit of Andor footage there, and that was a lot of fun. Look forward to discussing that. So Rian Johnson back in the news. The internet's just peaceful as ever. There's no arguments, no inflaming comments, nothing. It's all peace in the realm when Rian Johnson and The Last Jedi are back in the news. But yeah, it's going to be a fun time, guys.
Yeah, we're going to have a great show, and let's just dive into it. You know what I think we should do? I think we should make an announcement. We should make a big announcement. We should make another announcement about the future of the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. So let's see. Let's just quickly recap the announcements we've made so far. We've added a new co-host who is not here this week, but to be fair, also, an old co-host is not here this week. Hannah and Chris don't know where they are. They're somewhere, but they'll be back at
on
some
separate
point.
Sides of the earth.
Yes.
Or maybe, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. But so we added a new co-host, added a new fun YouTube channel, added an existing show that already exists. We added ourselves to a pre-existing social media platform that we were not on, and with good reason. No. And so, what else could we do? Well, what if we helped launch a brand new podcast? That's what we're doing. We are introducing Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, and we're going to bring on the co-hosts of Tales from Beyond the Galaxy. We've got Jordan, Anna, and Tracy. Welcome, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, to the Star Wars Underworld Network.
Hello.
What's up, everybody?
Lies! I'm sorry.
Can I say?
Couldn't have waited 5 minutes.
Well, Ben mentioned Rian Johnson in a piece for internet, so I had to be like, lies! Deception! Every day, more lies.
Of course, that voice that you're hearing first there is our old buddy, Jordan Schaefer. you're the one bringing this whole show together. So why don't you introduce? Because our listeners know you already. So why don't you introduce?
Better know me. Okay. So hi, I'm
Who is this?
Jordan. I'm the Beyonce of the group. Anna and Tracy can fight over who's Kelly and Michelle. I'm gonna leave that up to them. But no. So I'm gonna do a little backstory. This is gonna be a little origin story. Y'all heard it here first. We have a local con here called Comic Palooza, and under the other show that we used to do, Star Wars Culture, they wanted me to come back and do a podcast like I did last year. And my best friend of more than 10 years, because we met in the 3rd grade, I'm not a child anymore, so it's been well over the 10-year mark. Put me in contact with good old Anna, and she kind of helped me co-host this thing. And Tracy also helped me co-host this thing. Tracy, it's funny how Tracy and I met, because we live relatively close to each other. All three of us live relatively close to each other, but I didn't meet Tracy like in our area. I met him through TikTok. Like, we both make Star Wars content on TikTok, and that's how we met. And then it wasn't until like several months later when we were like, wait, you live in Houston? Oh my God. Sorry, I'm like dying also.
Please don't.
I'm trying my best not.
Yeah, you guys have got a show you got to do, Jordan. You can't die.
Yeah, so
don't pull a Ben and just leave. Not you, Ben. Not you, Ben. Just take all the knowledge with you.
Right. Yeah, and so when we were doing the panel, I was kind of, obviously I was speaking in the panel, but I was kind of feeling our vibe, and I was like, oh, this has to turn into something immediately. Like, there's no way we can't not do it. It was fun. The seats were filled at one point. People were asking us all sorts of amazing questions, and so we are going to, I guess you could say, recreate that on a internet show scale and go from there.
But we won't have someone asking us where the Sapphire stage is this time.
Did somebody at your panel get up and ask where another panel is taking place?
Well, I don't think they were in our panel.
And
I don't think she was in our
Jordan
panel.
talking at that moment, because like,
No. So we put what had happened was, this is exactly right when we had put time for questions. We're like, any comments, question, or concerns, and then this lady just pops up from like my left side, and she's like,
"Where's the Sapphire stage?"
Where the Sapphire stage is? Very aggressively,
and I guess you could tell I was visibly upset or confused, because Tracy was like, "Hey."
I gave him a little kick tap, like, "Hey, calm down.
Like,
it's okay."
That takes nerve to be at like somebody else's show and be like, excuse me, I'm actually looking for a different show. I know you've opened this up for questions. My question has to do with how I can get out of here as quickly as possible.
And then she was funny. She barked the question at us. It wasn't like, "Where's the galaxy?" It was like, "Where's the galaxy stage?" And I was like, this is giving me LA Galaxy flashback. I don't like it.
No, can we rename our podcast the Sapphire Stage, actually?
Oh, now there is an idea. Then you're always on the Sapphire stage.
And it's funny, she could have kept walking. It literally was right next to us. I just, because like,
how petty and how lazy do you have to be to go to do that,
dude?
Oh my goodness! So that is the incredible origin story of Tales from Beyond the Galaxy.
Yeah. Oh, also, my best friend Chandler, if you're watching, he likes to think that I'm phasing him out with Anna, because we like all the same stuff, and we both went to Celebration even though we didn't know it, and like we obviously had plans to go back to Celebration, and like he tried to come with me, but he couldn't go because he was somewhere else. And then I told him about a watch party we were doing for House of the Dragons, and he was like, "Not y'all phasing me out." I was like, I mean, hey, don't hate the player, hate the game? ? So if the shoe fits. But no, He knows he ain't going nowhere. We're just adding more people to our little circle. That's all.
Like Beyonce said, to the left.
To the left. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you gonna mess around, you ain't gonna be killing.
Like, and here's my new best friend, Anna. I'm like, what did you say?
Yeah.
Hi, Chandler, if you're watching.
if Anna goes missing, we know who did it.
Oh, this took a dark turn.
It's like they all have me on Find My Friends, so
yeah.
Oh my goodness. So let's Tracy and Anna, let's get the two of you to introduce yourselves. We've heard the origin story of how the show came to be, but let's introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you came to be Star Wars fans and just fans of geek culture in general. Anna, we'll start with you.
I'm so sorry. I'm messing with buttons. I'm touching things I should not be touching.
Jordan,
somebody wants to be the center of attention.
You can just start moving your mouth and all. Like, we can control.
No, I'm 100% pushing the wrong buttons. I'm doing stuff I'm not supposed to be doing.
For everybody who's just listening, as soon as Anna opened her mouth to speak, Jordan clicked a button that made the whole screen him. So...
Again, Beyonce,
accidentally,
Michelle.
My name is Anna. I got into Star Wars back in elementary school. So I used to watch the original trilogy, had it all on VHS. And then 1999, I was in 3rd grade, and Phantom Menace came out. My best friend, since 1st grade, her school crush, invited our whole class for his birthday to watch Phantom Menace. So we all went as for his birthday, and then after that, game changer. Bought all of the Star Wars toys, little figurines with the little, the chip and the communicator. We pretended those were like little hoverboards, and we just stuck them on there, and then just kind of fell in love with Star Wars since then. Also doesn't help that Ewan McGregor's very good looking.
Very.
And then, and then just I've just been a big geek, always into Power Rangers and other things like that. So geek culture is very much my thing since I was little. Nice.
That's fantastic. Tracy, what about you? Your origin story as a Star Wars fan.
I can really remember my grandfather having the VHS of, was it Attack of the Clones? I think it had to be Attack of the Clones, because I'm pretty sure he just needed me to sit down for 5 minutes, and he's like, "Here, watch this." And I remember him saying he came back and he asked me something, and I went, "Huh?" And I went right back to the TV. And after that, it was just, I literally bugged him, just like, "Hey, I need more of this."
Nice.
And then come to find out, there was a prequel trilogy, and I'm like, "There's a what?" And it just went downhill from there. I remember wanting to be Darth Vader for one Halloween, and sadly enough, they dressed me up as a ninja, but we're not going to get into that. But yeah, it's been a journey. I do Star Wars content on TikTok, and I was like, I had my lightsabers above my desk, but I took them down to replace with something else. Yeah, then I still am kind of jealous. I've been wanting to go to Celebration, so you can imagine my grief with Jordan and Anna when they're attending her Celebration. I'm just like, I didn't go.
Yeah. Well, we won't tell you if Ben and I were there. We won't. We'll just keep that a mystery.
It could have been me.
Y'all talking about Celebration?
Yep.
It was so much fun. Oh, did I say that? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Trust me. It's on the plans to go. So maybe not as long as I get to meet. As long as I hear that Samuel Jackson is there, because that's We're gonna write that off.
Has he ever been to a celebration? If not, he needs to.
It feels like he's one of those guys that should have gone.
He's too busy being in literally every movie ever made.
But he's probably too busy to have actually gone. But I don't know. Maybe
he's probably filming Secret Wars right now.
Yeah, he's in the sort of the Disney Plus family. So I don't know. He could jump over to.
I feel like eventually they're going to be like, okay, fine, we'll do your Mace Windu Lives series on Disney Plus, where he, comes back to life.
Listen. You guys remember the conundrum when Filoni kind of hinted that Ahsoka was alive? That threw me through a loop. Like, I don't like none of my one friend group. They were like, oh, like he's wearing that shirt, Ahsoka lives ? But then nobody questioned when he came back with a completely different shirt. I'm just sort of like, hey, like that's not the shirt he was wearing. They're like, what do you mean? The first shirt had a question mark. This one has an exclamation point. They're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah.
And that's become the phrase for Ahsoka ever since.
Well, so I was at that panel years ago when he did that. And I remember noticing, like, there's something different about his shirt. But I can't put my finger on what it is. I feel like he's changed shirts. And later on, everybody pointed out, oh, yeah, he's swapped the question mark for the exclamation point. But a classic Filoni.
Was he wearing two shirts that day, one on top of the other? Or did he just, like, awkwardly while the lights were off?
In the California heat?
Put it back on, put on the exclamation point shirt.
I just want to know what went into that line of thinking. They're just like, what? I want to know how the table read of him doing that was. Like, okay, so I'm going to go in here with two shirts on. No, that's what we're not going to do.
Kathleen Kennedy said, absolutely not.
Well, doesn't he? He doesn't wear a cowboy hat.
He does.
He does. Because I'm just like what Jordan said, like in California heat, first of all, you're gonna have to take that cowboy hat off every single time.
Right. Well, it was where was that celebration? Because I mean, if it was in Anaheim, that celebration was hall was cold. So
it was in Orlando. So it was, the Florida heat.
Yeah.
Which is
and the added humidity.
And the humidity.
Yeah.
Well, basically hell.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. So Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, the show that you guys are going to do. Now, it's not just a Star Wars podcast, correct? It's going to be more. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the MCU, Star Wars, House of Dragons. We haven't yet, but we are. We're going to do that. And we're just going to vibe, man. We're just going to vibe. We're here for the vibes.
And how will people be able to watch and/or listen to the show?
Right now, we're gonna be on Twitch, and we're gonna post stuff on YouTube. We're gonna probably stream highlights if we ever do have some funny moments or something. Plus some other question and answer type stuff will probably go on YouTube, but mainly Twitch. We're gonna test the waters of Twitch and see how that works out for us.
All right. So Tales from Beyond the Galaxy on Twitch. That's going to be the place to find the show. Since it is a show that is beyond Star Wars, and I know we're doing a Star Wars show, but so let's just take quick minute, and I'll ask you all to indulge me for a second. Jordan, you mentioned House of the Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
How are we feeling about it? What's the vibe in the room about Hot D so far?
The vibes are immaculate. They are amazing because this is my favorite family of the whole Westerosi world. Like the Targaryens, I don't care how messed up they are. That's my favorite family. Them and the Starks. Those are my two favorite families. Okay, so when I found out my number one family was getting their show, I was like, oh, okay. First episode, wow. Yikes.
So much happened in that first episode. I just remember when we were at a watch party for the first watch, and I think at the end of it, we were all just like, oh yeah, when so and so happened, and I was like, wait, that was in this episode.
Yep.
It's like only the first episode,
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm liking it so far. I can't wait to see the rest and talk about it.
Yeah, so far. Tracy, your thoughts?
I'm not going to say it out loud because I know Jordan's going
to
see that. He's going to find me. I have not started
watching
yet.
Okay.
Let me live. I have not started watching it yet, but originally, like, my love-hate for Game of Thrones is... But I am excited to watch it, but I'm going to wait for it to finish before I start watching.
That's fair. That's fair. I will say, I Ben, I'm not asking you because I know you haven't watched it.
So certain are you?
Oh, have you?
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, the turntables have turned.
Okay. So I see. I assume because Ben didn't watch Game of Thrones.
Right. Because I didn't have HBO at the time. Now I have HBO Max. So I was like, oh, it's there. I'll watch it.
And
I turned it off halfway through. I'm like, nah. This
I'm sorry.
No, I hate every minute of it.
Shunned. You're gone.
Shun the non-believer.
Ben,
I tried, okay? I legitimately tried.
Wait,
I invited you to the metaphorical cookout. And this is how you would pay me.
How far? Yeah. What was the scene that made you turn it off?
The childbirth scene. I'm just like, nope. No, I'm noping out of this.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay,
yeah.
Actually, I ended up watching it through reactions. I'm like, it isn't that bad, but still, I'm like, nah, I'm a...
What's it? Click.
Not for me.
Okay.
I'm a big old wuss. So yeah.
That's fair. I've been
unreasonable.
Look, I get it. Like, I understand. I am the weirdo here. I'm not gonna sit back and go like, "Oh, you guys are wrong. This show is stupid." Like, I get it. Like, I saw the TikTok or whatever of all the people in that apartment building, like, watching this show at midnight. Like, this is one of the biggest things on the planet. I am the odd man out here, so don't paying attention to me.
Okay, done. I won't be paying any attention to you. I will say I've loved it. It feels like Game of Thrones is back, just in the week to week like anticipation of it, and it has me thinking about it in a way that few shows that don't contain the words Star Wars do in the time
feels
between
like Game
episodes.
of Thrones back is for me because I'm now not watching a show that literally everyone else in the world is watching.
You're picking up on the references. All right, so Tales from Beyond the Galaxy. Dude, have you got a launch date? Have we got a premiere date, or is that still TBD?
TBD. That's a big ass. I'm sorry.
Oh,
that's a big.
It's a big ask.
It's a big ask.
Yeah,
big ask.
Yeah.
Thanks to Rian Johnson, we have ass in Star Wars now, so you can say it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
All right, so TBD on the launch date, but coming soon. All right, so we're going to talk about Rogue One in just a moment. But before we do that, we're going to quickly run through all of our plugs here at the Star Wars Underworld. As always, we ask you to subscribe, punch the subscribe button to never miss an episode on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your shows. If you enjoy the show and want to support us financially, patreon.com/the SWU is the place to do it. And you can get access to our weekly bonus show where we talked about She-Hulk and the LA Galaxy and other stuff, all available there. Patreon.com/the SWU for as little as $1 a month. You can also become a channel member, become a part of this weird clone battalion thing that we've started for some reason. And you can also super chat with us. All right, let's talk about Rogue One. We're going to kind of revisit this movie that came out 6 years ago. And I know it's upsetting. It's upsetting that it was 6 years ago. But it was also re-released this week in IMAX. So real quick, who went and saw it in IMAX?
Me.
All right. 4 out of 5. We have 4 out of 5 here.
Listen, Jeff Bezos owns me. Actually, wait, let me not say too much before I just vanished.
Jeff Bezos. Oh yeah. I was like, what the hell does Jeff Bezos have to do with anything? I get it now. He works. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's fair. But let's go around the virtual table here, and I want to hear from everybody your memories of Rogue One, what you thought of it back then, and if your opinion of it has changed over the years. And Ben, as always, we'll throw it to you first.
Yeah. So, yeah, I saw it in IMAX this weekend, and it was amazing. Like, it was great to see it again. It was my 9th time seeing it in a theater, I believe. I'm surprised I was able to.
You're crazy, Ben. You're insane. What kind of person sees it that many times?
You've seen a movie 9 times.
Only thing crazier would be somebody seeing it 11 times.
Jordan,
did you see it 11 times, Dom?
I was about to say Jordan. He's a little too quiet.
I don't watch it twice a year since it's been out.
But going back to this movie so many years later, I mean, it has been since 2016 since I've actually seen it on a big screen, or the biggest screen, as they say. And it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful movie, and like every time I watch it, I'm like, is that my favorite Star Wars movie? Is it? Because it's just so good from beginning to end. Like, I will admit, there are Star Wars movies. As much as I love Star Wars, and I love every Star Wars movie for its own merits. Even the ones I don't like, I love it because it things. But this movie does not stop. Like, it just does not stop. There's no moment where I'm like, I'm tuning out. I'm like, oh, I'm bored. I'm not feeling this anymore. Like, every moment is great, and it just keeps building on itself. And it's just a masterpiece of a film. And I look back, I can't remember what my criticisms were of this movie. I know it's not perfect, but for crying out loud, man, it's just so much fun. And it's so much fun going back to it now, of having sat with it for so many years and watched it on TV, now watching it on a big screen again. It's just a wonderful time. It really is some of the best Star Wars ever put to screen, some of the best content ever put to screen, if I dare say. Okay, one of the best things I've ever seen on a giant screen. I'm like, this is what movies were made for, guys. This is what they started projecting stuff on walls for. Is stuff like this. So yeah, it was so much fun revisiting this one, and obviously the Andor footage before it and all this kind of stuff. It was just a really just incredible time.
Yeah, we will circle back to the Andor footage in a little bit. But Tracy, we'll go to you next. Your sort of feelings on Rogue One and how that has evolved for you over the years, if it has changed at all since you first saw it.
Well, it's just like with A New Hope, we knew they had the plans, but how they got to A to B was never just told. So them making this movie and us seeing like, hey, this is everything this group went through to get these plans to the rebels. It was different for me. So mind you, I wasn't expecting the chopping block. Like, it's just bam, bam, bam. And I was like, guys, can one person survive? No? Okay, that's great.
Yeah, the only one who can survive is Darth Vader, apparently. He's the only one that can get out of this movie.
The drama queen.
And Tarkin.
And Tarkin, yeah.
Tarkin, yes. I still find it funny that the man literally turned off his life support for a dramatic effect.
That's the first time watching this. That was the first time I noticed that. In fact, because of course it's massive, and you're like looking for the light, and it's not there. He turned it off. That freaking drama queen.
It was like, sir, so you mean to tell me you're tuned off your breathing for 2 minutes to scare the living daylight out of these 6 rebels, mind you? Like, I feel like if anybody in that gallery I felt bad for is the one he forced lift on the ceiling. I was like, dude, you got off easy. Everybody else is just screwed.
Yeah.
And then let's not forget my favorite, K2.
Arguably the most tragic death in all of Star Wars.
That he went out like a trooper. And I still say to this day, if R2 had a voice, it would be him.
Yeah.
Like, I need a segment where like R2 and K2 just bump into each other and they just have a whole argument. He's like, what did you just say to me?
Now that is season 2 of Andor material written all over it.
See, I can't wait for Andor to like make his death in Rogue One even sadder. Like,
no, don't.
Yeah, I have a feeling Andor is going to make a whole bunch of stuff in Rogue One. We're going to be revisiting it again in a year's time, going, gosh, it's even more tragic. It's even more depressing than it already is. Jordan, over to you. Your thoughts, your and feelings on Rogue One over the years.
I love it even more with every viewing. I watched it in my old college town because I was in college when it came out. My friends who I had just met like the 6 months before the movie came out were like, we know you like Star Wars, so we're going to take you to see this movie and you're going to sit in the middle so you can experience this whole movie and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. What the heck? And then, of course, at the end, it gets dark. And I'm like, okay, that's cute. What's going on? And then that stupid breathing starts, and I'm like, oh, we're not done killing people. Wait, stop. And then the tension 4 takes off, and I'm like, bitch, we just went to A New Hope. We just went to A New Hope. I said chick. I was talking to the chicken that's in my room.
Sure, whatever you say.
Absolutely. We all believe you. Anna, over to you. Your thoughts and feelings on Rogue One.
Oh man. I remember first seeing it in theaters. And then I was like, oh man, this is great. Just seeing, obviously everything that happened right before A New Hope. And then funnily enough, it's like one of my friends' like favorite Star Wars movies, and she's not a big fan of Star Wars. And so she's like, oh, but she's totally up for watching Andor, and so I'm really excited about that. Though I mentioned this, I want to say right before we went to go, Jordan and I went to go watch it in IMAX. I was like, I am just really stoked to see Skywalker hallway lightsaber in IMAX. Because those scenes never fail. And then just the battle on Scarif in IMAX. Oh, chef's kiss.
That was great. Yeah,
it's so
I never
good.
saw it in IMAX because when the movie came out, I was in my rinky-dink college town with this 6-screen movie theater that was like falling apart. Like it was. I started working there like the next year. Oh my God, that movie theater was so ghetto. It was an AMC, but it was one of the most ghettoest AMCs I've ever seen in my entire life.
All right.
I'm not even going to tell you how many free tickets we had to give out because
no.
Watch out, George. You might get a cease and desist.
Though this rewatch on IMAX, that one scene with Mon Mothma and Bale talking right before, and it was like, oh. And then just like, I had also just rewatched Kenobi for the nth time, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So
it's Star Wars has this sort of unique ability, and Rogue One is kind of the ultimate example of it, where it makes you look at the old stuff in a completely different light because it tells its stories out of order. And so it's kind of funny now that with Obi-Wan being out there, the show being out there, it's now changing how we look at Rogue One. And eventually Andor will do the same, and I suspect other projects that are out there will continue to make us think about Rogue One in a different way, as Rogue One did for us about A New Hope and other Star Wars projects as well.
Yeah.
For me, Ben, you and I, we got to see Rogue One in, I think, probably the best possible way on opening night, because we went and visited Chris in LA to see it at the Chinese theater on opening night. So we saw it with a crowd full of people who had literally been waiting in line all weekend to see this movie. And when it opened, it was just such an exhilarating movie experience. I've never had a movie experience quite like that.
Yeah.
And never before, never since. People were going nuts for Red Leader and Gold Leader in the theater, which was incredible. And I remember when the movie ended, just having this like feeling of adrenaline and a rush that like I wanted to go run around the theater a few times because it was so exciting. And I sort of thought, like, is this just the environment that we're seeing the movie in, or is it the movie itself? And so the next day we went to a much more, to quote Jordan, rinky-dink AMC theater.
It was ghetto.
And we watched it again. And when we got to the end of the movie, I had that same feeling of like, this was so good. Yeah. I got to go run. And it was, no other movie has given me that same feeling. Not even another Star Wars movie. Not Solo, not Last Jedi, not Rise of Skywalker. And those are all movies that to varying degrees I get a lot of enjoyment from. And so it was something special. And so to revisit it again in that kind of IMAX format. Now, I went to a screening at 12:30 on a Tuesday. So there were about 7 other people.
12:30, like lunchtime 12:30?
Lunchtime 12:30, yeah. Nice. So there were about 7 other people in the theater. So we basically had the place to ourselves. And it was still pretty great, even though, it didn't have the rock concert vibe that opening night did. It was still pretty special. And I find Rogue One, there's 2 Star Wars movies that give me this same feeling, where when I'm watching them, even though I know they're great movies, I find myself thinking, this is a really good movie during it, as if I'd forgotten that it's a really good movie. And it's Empire and Rogue One. They both have that effect on me, where I know that they're good, but I sort of forget how good they are. And revisiting it in IMAX, it just, again, made you feel like, here we go. We're back. This movie's so good.
Yeah, I feel like Rogue One is one of those movies that, like, definitely gets people hype, because Anna and I went, and then one of our friends, Lauren, went with us, and then one of my coworkers went with us, and he's familiar with Star Wars, but he's fairly new for all intents and purposes. And so just seeing his reaction and trying to quietly answer his questions, and like he could tell the enthusiasm in which I was answering the questions, because he was like, so what is this movie even about? And I was like, okay, so, the first ever Star Wars movie to come out, how they destroyed the big evil death machine. This is the movie that tells you how they got the plans to destroy said big evil death machine. And he was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then I had to explain why Darth Vader's castle was on Mustafar and just stuff like that. And like I said, he could just tell the excitement in everybody's voice and how we were just enjoying this experience, because that's what it was. It wasn't just movies, it was an experience. And Rogue One and Empire are the perfect movies to do that with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really does. And Rogue One, we've talked a lot about like the action and the sort of the feeling of adrenaline and like the tragic deaths of all of it. I think it's also, for my mind, the best written Star Wars movie, or at the very least, it has the best Star Wars dialogue. It has its little, Star Warsy moments, but I think, beat for beat, word for word, there's a couple of scenes in this movie that are just like among the tops in all of Star Wars. And I think about the scene between Galen and Krennic at the beginning of the movie, where so much is said about their backstory through implications and sort of them talking about it the way 2 people who know each other talk about the past, where nobody has to go, do you remember when I was an Imperial scientist? It's just, instead you have like quick lines, like, the way Galen says, oh, Lyra, troublesome as ever. Like it tells you everything you need to know about their relationship there. Or, we were on the verge of greatness, you and I, like everything you need to know is there. And then you can later go and read it in James Luceno's novel Catalyst. And then Jyn and Cassian, after the showdown on Edu, they're seen back aboard the ship where they are arguing. And if there's ever been a scene in Star Wars where, 2 characters are, are both arguing points where they're both right, even though they're arguing with each other. I mean, that's that scene right there. It's beautifully done, beautifully written.
It's amazing that like it's obviously the line that that inspired Andor, really truly. But it's also like one of the best like delivered lines ever in Star Wars is, you know, Cassian, Diego Luna going, "I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old." And like there's so much power in his words, so much, and that performance is just incredible.
Absolutely, yeah, and it does, like you said, it sets up Andor, which I think will bring us to talking a little bit about that show. And Jordan, I know you're on the clock a little bit, and you're going to have to leave us. So I'll throw this to you first, and then maybe we'll let you go. We'll throw this to you,
Hannah.
Yeah, hello to Hannah in the live chat, calling us all legends. Thank you. So Jordan, let me throw this to you. What are you looking for in Andor? What are you looking forward to in Andor? Especially now that we've revisited Rogue One in this way.
I'm just looking forward to that overall Rogue One-esque aesthetic, to be honest. I have always said on social media ever since the announcement came that we were getting an Andor show, I said, "Oh, this is gonna be the best show we get. This is gonna be the best one."
Yeah,
because of just how much I love Rogue One. Like, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be the best one." Period. And then during Celebration, when they were like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be 12 episodes, 2 seasons, and at the end of the last season, it's gonna be the 4 or 5 days before the events of Rogue One," I was like, "Oh, word I can't say on YouTube Live." Yes. That's what got me hype. So I'm just ready to be in that world again, but with new content. You know, we can talk about Rogue One all day. We've watched Rogue One several times and it's good every time, but we're still in that same time period, but getting something new, if that makes sense. And like I said, I was not joking when I said Mon Mothma. I love her. Go watch Ion Cannon from Monday, because I was talking with good old Matt and Joel about it, and I was just like, "Yep, that is my queen."
Yeah. Oh, we're definitely gonna continue to talk about Mon Mothma. So that's gonna come back up again. So Jordan, we will we'll let you go.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for being on, and thank you for bringing yourself and Tales from Beyond the Galaxy.
Friends.
Yeah, to the Star Wars Underworld Network. Yeah, we're so glad to have you on board, and we look forward. We can't wait to see what the three of you are going to do.
Cannot wait to share it with you. We're working around the clock. Sometimes I forget to text them about stuff, but that's nobody's business, so it's fine.
All right. Well, Jordan, if people want to keep up with you personally, what's the best way they can do that?
I have a TikTok that is where my origins lie. That's how I somehow grabbed the attention of these beautiful people that I work with every day in the Underworld. It's the same as my username right there, TBluePoster66. That's my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. It's probably on MySpace too. Who knows? Type it and see what you find. MySpace, and let me know.
Branding.
Yeah. So let me know what you find if it's there on MySpace. I'm sure they'll remind Tracy and Anna will remind you at the end of the show. But Beyond the Galaxy can be found on Twitch. I need to get that link somewhere and send it to you guys. And it's gonna be amazing. We're going to talk about Star Wars. We're going to talk about House of Dragons. We're going to talk about the MCU, or should I say the MCU, and the DC universe, or what's left of it. Yeah. So.
Amazing.
Anyways,
thank you, Jordan.
For having me so much. See you guys later.
Later.
Bye.
All right. Well, let's keep talking a little Andor, a little Rogue One. Anna, we'll go to you next. What are you most sort of looking forward to about revisiting the Rogue One world, so to speak, with Andor?
Oh man, yeah, with Jordan on Mon Mothma, and then on that trailer, that was Chancellor Valorum, right? I wasn't seeing things that she was talking to.
I've been wondering because it seems like it could be. That would be really interesting if it was.
I will say the character has a name, but it could be a bait and switch. Maybe. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. But
Ben,
man, he does. I feel like wouldn't they just get Terrence Stamp back? Like he's around, he can do stuff, right?
Right. I think so.
Let's say that guy may not be Chancellor Valorum. Terrence Stamp could be in this show. We don't know it yet. Just saying.
Evil twin.
Evil twin.
He's been cloned. How about that? We'll go with he's been cloned.
Look, is Camino even still around?
Attack of the Valorum clones.
That's the title for episode 6 of Andor season 1. Attack of the Valorum clones.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's a backdoor pilot. That
and then like just speaking of Valorum and that sense, just like the whole politics, just all the politics of Star Wars. When they showed like the Galactic Senate, I teared up a lot of it just because visually it's just so good. Like I'm all about the aesthetics, so that was just awesome. And kind of can't wait just to see like who like will pop up and just like all the cameo if any cameos happen. But yeah, just I think this is like perfect show just to see like all the politics because you don't get any of that in like the prequels. Like you maybe get it in that opening scroll in Phantom Menace, and that. So yeah, mainly for me, just the politics. I think.
Yeah, we're definitely going to come back to that because the political intrigue of Andor seems to be a really fascinating aspect of it, and it's something that for which the groundwork is laid in Rogue One. We'll come back to that, but before we do that, Tracy, we'll sort of complete the circle here. The circle is now complete. Give us your feelings on returning to the Rogue One timeline for Andor.
I'm actually just excited to see Cassian back because lo and behold, like I did like him a lot in Rogue One, and then like what Ben was saying about his scene with Jyn, it was just like yes, you might have like an idea of what's going on, but like for other people, like they've been this has been part of their life since they were younger. Like, and I'm pretty sure like Galen, like he did his best to shelter her from like everything that was going on, and then his unfortunate passing, and then it was just like I'm pretty sure for Cassie, she was just hitting the nails, just like okay, listen, I get it, this means a lot, but what you're doing right now. Yeah, I'm kind of excited just to see his whole side, and then like to hear like they're gonna be doing like what was it 5 days before?
For Rogue One.
That's probably gonna be a wild trip.
That the series finale should be titled Rogue Zero. If there's any justice in this world, they should go with that. But yeah, that scene between, I was saying earlier, like that scene between Jyn and Cassian, like that might be one of the best written scenes in all of Star Wars because she's right in the sense that he was perhaps following the sort of the
mission.
The mission a little too closely. She says, orders when you know you're wrong, you might as well be a stormtrooper, which is one of the most like cutting lines in all of Star Wars. But he hits back with the fact that like she only started caring about this 48 hours earlier. He's a guy, he said, I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. I've been, I've seen what the galaxy is, and I've decided to do something about it. And I've been, sacrificing everything in my life up until this point for it. What have you been doing this entire time? Which is a completely fair thing to hit back with her, who was sort of taking that sort of centerist on the fence point of view of, well, it's bad, but what can we do about it? That kind of Uncle Owen, not that I like the Empire, I hate it, but there's nothing I can do about it right now. That kind of feeling. And to be able to go back in Cassian's story and see where that fire comes from and how it's been challenged and stoked and perhaps even nearly extinguished at different points in his journey. Yeah, that sounds like 24 hours of great television right there. Or 24 1-hour blocks.
That's damn good television right there.
Yeah. But let's talk about what you were talking about, Anna, which is the political intrigue of Rogue One and Andor specifically, because that's something that's been really interesting to watch in the trailers, is the way they have brought Mon Mothma and the Imperial Senate and that side of the story into it. And I'll just throw this out there for whoever wants to take it. But we're going to see a really sort of dysfunctional picture of the galaxy, and we're going to see the people who are trying to work within it. What are we looking to see or hoping to see from that side of the story?
Bail Organa.
Specific. I like it.
Moments before the destruction.
Yeah, we were talking about Obi-Wan affecting the way we see Rogue One. I mean, imagine you see, Jimmy Smits and Simone Kessel in a scene together. Moments.
Oh my god.
Moments before.
I need that so much. I'm gonna be disappointed because we're not gonna get it. We're gonna be all hyped up, and then there's not gonna be any Space Jimmy Smits content, and we're all gonna be disappointed.
So what I'm hearing then is you're inciting the riot. Is what I'm hearing. I just need to know.
Hey, sir, you're burning this car in the middle of the street. What are you mad about? There's no Jimmy Smits in my Star Wars Andor.
Listen, that is a riot I can stand behind.
Yeah. But this side of the story, and Ben, maybe you want to pick up on this a little bit. What are you looking to see from the sort of Mon Mothma Imperial Senate part of the story?
Yeah, because going into this, I'm expecting Mon Mothma to have a pretty sizable role in this show, maybe even closer to equal to Cassian's role. I'm kind of thinking that it'll be kind of a parallel storyline. Maybe Cassian and Mon Mothma don't even meet this season. Maybe they're just kind of doing their own things and obviously probably affecting one another and having similar storylines, but doing it in two completely different places. Obviously, Mon Mothma in the center of the galaxy, in the Senate. We can imagine that Cassian, over this course of the show, is probably going to be closer out to the Outer Rim, doing some stuff out there. So, but I'm really curious what it's going to be about. How does the Senate function? Is Palpatine there? Is old Sheev, is he in the Senate, or is he locked himself away? Is it Mas Amedda who's kind of leading the charge here? That's what I'm curious about. And just how it functions and what other. I mean, let's face it. There's a lot of cameo potential with that Senate. There's a lot of familiar faces that we could see. Maybe the ET guys. Maybe they'll show back up. We'll find out they're really pro Empire, to a disturbing degree.
Oh no!
Jar Jar.
Not. Oh.
Jar Jar's Naboo's representative in the Imperial Senate. That would be tough.
We talked about that last week. I want freaking Jar Jar in the show, man. I want to know what he's up to, or maybe he's just hanging out outside. He's like, Misa make a bombad mistake.
Did he really use the Force in the Phantom Menace? I swear, I knew a guy. He literally look. You see him do his hand, and I'm like, okay, he waved. What do you mean? What do you want? Jesus, I want to believe this very overzealous person has ulterior motives, but you gotta come with some more evidence, because
You're not feeling the Darth Jar Jar theory there, Tracy.
As much as I would like to, as much as I would like his stance on giving Chancellor Palpatine emergency powers to be like, hey, he knew something. But until we get that, I'm just gonna be like, this guy's an idiot, and he got played like an idiot.
There was a rumor back in the day, and Ben, I don't know if you remember this, because I think we talked about it on the show, but there was a rumor back in the day that Jar Jar and I think C.O. Bibble were going to appear in Rogue One, that they were going to be in those like rebellion scenes around the table when Jin is trying to convince them to go.
Well, I specifically remember being disappointed walking out of Rogue One. Damn it, somebody lied to me. There was no Jar Jar in that movie. I didn't see him in that crowd.
Yeah. And like there was like all sorts of stuff, like Jar Jar was going to have a beard and an eye patch and all this stuff. Like,
why? No.
You know what? All I'm going to say is we never saw the Rogue One deleted scenes. I'm just going to say that.
Ben, don't do this. Don't start this, please.
There's still hope. There's still hope.
Somewhere buried
release
deep within
the Gareth Edwards cut.
Yeah, buried deep within the Lucasfilm vault is a scene with Jar Jar with a beard and an eye patch in Rogue One. But yeah, pirate in the chat. They say pirate Jar Jar. That would be excellent.
Lisa say we fight.
Arr.
Oh yeah, what if instead of Admiral Raddus we had Jar Jar Binks?
No, don't listen to that comment.
That would have been amazing.
I wouldn't be mad.
Rogue One, the Force is with you, sir.
I'm disowning you for that comment. That's my girlfriend. Like, no, we do not need this. We do not need Darth Jar Jar in this house.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, and you know, something Tony Gilroy said recently about Andor is that there's going to be cameos, but they're not going to be kind of gratuitous. They're going to be there for some reason that serves the story. And Ben, I think you kind of hit on something there, and Anna, you've hit on this as well, that there's a lot of characters in the Senate, on that side of the galaxy that we know about, that we've seen before, who could very easily make very natural appearances in this show. And, you know, maybe some of them might surprise us. Maybe some of them might, be a little bit more pro-Empire than we're thinking, or some of them might be like full-on rebel extremists that are going to be, dragged out of the Senate chamber by stormtroopers at some point. But
oh God,
yeah, it could be. There's a lot of potential there, and Star Wars, for as much as Star Wars has politics in it, especially in the prequels, there's a lot of scenes in the Senate and all that stuff. We've never had a true political intrigue story. Like Attack of the Clones sort of tried with the the whole Sifo Dyas clone army, that kind of thing, but we haven't had a proper sort of people maneuvering behind the scenes and the real sort of risk of being found out. And I think that Stellan Skarsgård's character Luthen Rael is going to really play into that as well. From what we've seen in the clip that was released online, and of course the extended version that was in the Rogue One IMAX screening. This is a guy who is trying to play both sides of the rebel coin. He's trying to be the guy who, in the Senate, maintaining the image of imperial authority to a point, or challenging imperial authority. But then he's also out there, on the front line trying to recruit rebels like Cassian Andor. Tracy, I'll sort of throw this to you. What are you looking to see from a character like that who is kind of playing both sides to try and get what he wants?
Oof. I just hope they don't get too ambitious, because we've seen I cannot think of the character. I've seen too many ambitious characters kind of playing both sides of the coin. I cannot think. Who is that? That one character in the Clone Wars. I cannot think of his name. He was in Rebels too.
Oh,
I cannot think of his name.
Are we talking about? I was just gonna say Tandivo, but like, no, he's not Red Rebels. Nah.
I know he was in a lot of scenes with Ezra. I just cannot think of his name.
Since this is a new like trivia game that we've started here.
I just want to say Maul.
Yeah, Maul.
He's. I cannot think of his name. I just know like a lot of people's end goals aren't probably gonna like play out how they see it, because I don't think nothing's literally get past Palpatine. You think like, oh, you're gonna be pulling one on him, and he probably already knows it like 10 moves ahead.
Yeah,
it just. I'm gonna stay awake all night thinking like, what the hell?
You're gonna pop up in the middle of the night going, it was them. I got it.
It's gonna put on Discord.
And the name. I do hope we get like, it's easy to like grab someone from the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Red Sith, but like I hope we get maybe some Clone Wars ones in there, some senators from there, just to mix things up, some animation to live action shenanigans. Some more of that would be great.
I would like to see some Cato Neimoidians, because I did just recently finish Brotherhood. So,
and how are they faring within the Empire? Like they sold their soul to the devil to make an extra buck during the Clone Wars, and now what's happened to them? What's going on with Cato Neimoidia? That'd be fascinating.
Yeah, there's so much in there that could be picked up on, like you're saying, like the Neimoidians, the Trade Federation, all of those guys that were part of the Separatists, like
Hondo Ohnaka. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna find him.
What if it's just like they're in the Senate and it's just like normal Senate stuff, and you just like, and now a word from it is I, Hondo Ohnaka.
Like if anybody played that double-sided coin to a T, it's Hondo.
Yeah, and what could be really interesting about Luthen is like Hondo was in it for himself. Hondo was playing both sides for Hondo's sake. Luthen is kind of trying to do it for the greater good, for lack of a better term. Like he's trying to, save the galaxy, and he's going to try and walk this fine line. And I think through him, we could be introduced to a lot of people some of whom will want to, do good, do the right thing, try and, restore some semblance of, justice to the galaxy. And then there will be other ones who will see him as their opportunity to move up within Palpatine's empire, and could turn him or Mon Mothma or Bail Organa or Cassian or any of these other characters in there, could turn them over to the Empire. And that's one of the things that's really exciting to me about this show, is the idea of balancing that fine line of
what is Luthen's backstory, I wonder. Where did he come from? We're assuming we see him in his home potentially. We're assuming he's got a lot of funds. He's maybe a fairly wealthy guy. Where did he come from? And how did he get all this wealth? Was he is him trying to fight with the rebellion, build a rebellion, kind of him trying to make up for the fact that maybe he profiteered off the Clone War and did some shady stuff. Who knows? And he's trying to make up for that. I want to know more about this character. This guy really seems to, especially based on the footage we saw in the IMAX, someone who is going to set Cassian down this path towards rebellion, because Cassian is not the guy we know in Rogue One. He is not at all that guy.
Mm-hmm. Anna, you saw the IMAX screening and the IMAX footage. What did you think of it?
I thought it was amazing, and it just made me really mad that the rest of the TV series won't be in IMAX.
It looks so good on that big screen.
That's what. Yeah, I was just like, oh, this is so great, and then once it like finished, and I was like, oh, that's gonna be so good, and then I was like, I won't be seeing all this in IMAX, and now I'm really mad.
Yeah, I imagine there are some people that their introduction to Andor will be seeing that in IMAX, and then they'll watch the rest of it on their phone and just be like, "Oh, this is not the same."
With the right entertainment set up at home, it could be.
It could be. Yeah.
But oh man, just how long was that clip? Even I just felt like it was very long, but.
Like maybe a minute or two, if I remember hearing right.
No,
it was more than a minute or two.
I'd say it was maybe around 5 minutes. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Felt like about 4 or 5 minutes of interview and 5 minutes of like actual footage plus the trailer. At the end. And it's out there. If you really want to watch it, it's online. You can find it.
Yeah. You can just search some part of Twitter and you will find it. Just like anything that had been leaked from Celebration. But anyways.
Saying that you leaked something for the Celebration.
No, I haven't. There's just a video I have from the Lucasfilms panel. You just hear me crying in the background. That was the second time I cried in that first hour and a half of the convention. But we won't get into that.
That I will say, that Lucasfilm panel, that the thing that made me cry most was the, like, more than any of the trailers or anything else that went on in that thing, the opening video,
the montage
about Star Wars Celebration itself. I was like, oh my god, we're back. Oh, I can't believe it. I was like in tears. And then to go from that to a live choir singing Duel of the Fates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the first and second time I cried. And then the third time I cried, when was that? It was when John Williams made his surprise appearance.
That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good reason to cry.
So three times during that one panel. It was great.
Yes. Yeah. Pretty great. And it's funny to think that was the first time we saw anything from Andor, really, was back then. And, we're still a little ways away, 20 some odd days away from Andor, but just kind of but it is really just around the corner at this point. Yeah. Let's circle back to Rogue One itself, the movie, and again we'll do kind of an around the table, and Tracy, this time we'll start with you. Of the sort of the main cast of Rogue One, which of them do you think, along with Cassian, should have their backstory explored most?
Ooh. I'm not gonna lie, it should have been Galen. I'm not like it should have been Galen. That's why I was a little bit upset that they killed him off, and I was like, bro, because like you just, I mean, I get it. Like they were, I don't know. Out of all the Rogue One cast,
I mean, Galen's a good answer. Like that's a guy who's got a backstory that could certainly be picked up on, and a Mads Mikkelsen cameo. Sorry, a Mads Mikkelsen cameo could be like, could be pretty great in this show.
I wouldn't put it past him. I really wouldn't.
Yeah. Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, because like you said earlier about their conversation, like they didn't really need to go into it. You felt that from both sides of their energy. So it would have been nice to know they like, hey, like how did we, what possessed you to, you were there working with them side by side to build these plans. At what point did you decide like, hey, this isn't right, I need to leave? And at some point he had to have known that like, hey, one of these days they're going to come find you. And unfortunately they did. Yeah. Sort of a life of, the kind of Galen Erso life on the run story.
That would be really interesting to see just that their little family just trying to escape the Empire
Like
for as long as they
somebody
could.
had to sell them out because like how did I mean, not saying that, not at some point they were gonna find them, but like somebody dropped the dime, say, hey, I hear you've been looking for Galen Erso. I just so happen to see him on this planet.
Yeah, and it would have to be a friend. It would have to be someone
because like for the Empire, like they don't shy away from like any kind of information. Like, hey, we're looking for this. I mean, I don't know if like on the scale of like, did he just up and leave? Because like what was it? Jen had to be about.
She's like 8 or 9 in I think that opening scene. So yeah, she'd be pretty young in the show, little baby Jen.
And I like the idea of, like, as I was saying earlier, this show having parallel storylines. I'm assuming certain characters won't be meeting each other. We'll have Cassian and then Cyril over here doing stuff, and maybe their paths affect one another, but they won't be. That leaves the door open for because you automatically think, oh well, Galen can't be in the story because he can't meet Cassian. Well, not everyone's going to meet Cassian. Maybe we'll check in on Galen at some point. And I wonder, being that this is Tony Gilroy making the show, a guy who had a heavy hand in making Rogue One happen, how much is he going to really want to lean into the Rogue One prequel thing? Is he going to be one? This is focused on Cassian, but he's already been out on the open saying, hey, look, this is called Andor, but it's about a lot of people. It's an ensemble cast. Well, you could go to a lot of different places on that. I'm not saying we're going to have Felicity Jones popping up as Jyn Erso, but I'm not ruling it out.
I wouldn't complain. I've said before, my theory for kind of the stinger at the end of season 1 is that we'll have Cassian hear the name Erso for the first time, and that'll set the course for season 2 and beyond. Well, no, just for season 2. I keep thinking there's going to be a third season, but I know there's not.
Yeah.
they've said
the movie is a third season.
Yeah, you're right. It's act 3 of Cassian's story has already been told. We're really just getting act 1 and 2.
That just a couple days, like it'll be 12 episodes, but it'll be in real time.
Yes, like 24.
Do you think they'll do like kind of like little clips of the whole movie into the show, like just clips of like I guess Jyn and Cassie meeting, and then just so on until like that point.
Cassie and Andor will turn in Rogue One as Star Wars.
Damn it, he dies at the end.
What?
Like I don't know how it would feel if like it's like you were saying, Dom. Like if they do like a Rogue One 0, and then like a whole flash forward of the entire movie up until that moment of him on the beach with her.
I love Diego Luna in Celebration. He was like, well, at least they can't kill me off in this one.
Yes.
Yet.
Already dead. Anna, what about you? What Rogue One character would you like to see sort of have their backstory explored some more, either in this show or something else?
I don't know where, but what's his name? Sharut?
Yes.
I just want to see like how he got there and just like everything that precedes, to where we see him in Rogue One.
Yeah. The Chirrut and Baze show.
Oh,
how that has not been made already.
Story.
I mean, the title is right there, Ben. It's right there.
Telling you.
How that has not been made already into a show feels like a massive missed opportunity.
That's literally one of my only complaints about Rogue One is the fact that we get just a sliver of Chirrut like beating the hell out of stormtroopers with a wooden stick. Like, I want a whole movie of that, okay?
I need like a Mulan montage, like make a man out of
you. I'll make a Jedi out of you or something. Be fantastic.
Baz loved his boy. He went out like a trooper.
Yeah.
Or I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me. A Star Wars story.
Yeah.
Buddy
I mean,
movie.
and just, I mean, that line, I'm one with the Force is with me. Again, that sort of speaks to this movie's sort of staying power, that it was able to add something so meaningful and easily sort of repetitive to Star Wars. And it's just sort of that it's like May the Force be with you, but it's its own thing. And the fact that they've brought it back in other stuff, like
And how many people lost their damn minds when Ahsoka started saying in the last episode of Clone Wars? Come on now.
Yeah, that was a pretty great moment. It's a pretty great moment. All right, Ben, what about you? Your Rogue One cast member you want to bring back, or Rogue One character you want to see explored some more?
Yeah, I feel like the one that I would want more of is the one that really got kind of the least amount development, I think, and one who's played by a magnificent actor, Bodhi Rook. I would love to see more of his story, and just like overall, I want to see, like, my dream cameo is just you see a transport go by and you zoom in on the pilot and just wrote it's Bodhi in the pilot seat in Andor. That's what I want.
How much money do you think Riz Ahmed could get just for doing that? Just,
a lot.
The negotiation would be incredible. Yeah, I feel like Bodhi's story is terrific in Rogue One, but I feel like there's a moment, the most sort of powerful moment from it is still missing, which is that moment where he chooses to side with Galen, and we hear about it from him, but we never have actually seen it. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe if there is to be some kind of more direct tie-ins with Rogue One in season 2, an episode about that. I don't know how you work Cassian into it, but and you probably can't. But a sort of a one-off episode or a one-off movie about the Imperial cargo pilot who's struggling with his place within the this fascist government, choosing this moment to turn. It's a pretty powerful story, and could be a pretty good episode or movie.
I would say maybe like in the second season, because it's supposed to precede Rogue One. So
have the moment where Galen meets Bodhi.
Yeah.
That up.
Pretty great. Pretty
Transporting some kyber crystal to this unnamed Empire facility.
Yeah. Be pretty good. For me, we've covered the whole cast for the most part. So I'll throw Krennic in there. I want this.
Krennic.
This is a guy who he's got quite an interesting sort of place in the Empire, right? Like he clearly has risen. He's sort of hit his ceiling. He's risen as high as he can, but he still wants to keep going. He still wants to keep rising through the Empire. But now he's up against sort of the big boys. He's up against Tarkin and Vader and the Emperor, and there's no room for him at that table. He's maneuvered his way past all of the people who he can get by with just wits and fists and all of that stuff, and now he's hit kind of as he's hit his peak, but he doesn't realize it yet. He still thinks he can keep going, and Ben Mendelsohn obviously is an Australian actor, but he's doing a British accent in the movie, and they gave him he does kind of more of a working class accent, whereas Tarkin has much more of that posh, BBC kind of accent. And he, there's it's a subtle little thing in there, but you see kind of the classism that exists within the Empire, where Krennic, a guy like Krennic can only rise so far before he hits the people who just, see him as nothing but, little annoyance poking in their side. And Tarkin has no shame and feels there's nothing stopping him from just taking the Death Star, just taking over,
and literally aiming the super laser at Krennic's body. Like literally, that's what happens.
I just want to know what was going through Krennic's head in that moment. Like, you know what, Galen, you probably were right. Like just like wow, I just like
you son of a.
Like just like him and Galen just on the beach. Like, you see why I left, right? That is why I left. Our weapon there in the sky.
Yeah. That right there. Yeah, it's funny. I wonder if there's a part of Krennic in that moment that, as much as he's like, I'm gonna die, aren't I? He's also like, I made that. That thing's really effective. I'm kind of like, there's a little bit of him that's a little bit proud that like, oh, this thing is so effective, it's gonna kill me.
He goes off into the Force. Galen, it works. Like, of course I know it works. I helped build it. Like,
we did the thing.
Galen just slaps him. He's like, you learned nothing. You learned nothing from your death.
I did not look like Tark. He just literally like, he lost.
Yeah.
Press the button.
Done. You may fire when ready. Do you think Tarkin might pop up in Andor? That's a character we haven't heard much.
I don't know.
I'm hopeful.
Hopeful? Yeah. Given the amount, we've talked a lot on this show in the last couple of years about the way they've done digital Luke and all that stuff in Mandalorian. It's funny to look back on. It's funny to look back on Rogue One, where it all started. And this may be a controversial opinion, but Tarkin looks way better than any of the CGI Lukes that they've done. And when I first saw Rogue One, I was a little bit like, I don't know if if they nailed this Tarkin thing.
I it didn't. I feel like it wasn't that crazy bad, but then it wasn't made to mirror where like, okay, it looks like you guys are doing too much. It did what it needed to do.
Yeah.
Versus first CGI version of Luke. That is thing of my nightmares right there.
Yep. Mine too. So it's funny having seen CGI Luke, I look back on Tarkin and go, oh yeah, much better. Really, really like that. And even seeing it in IMAX, the texture of his skin is so much better than on CGI Luke. And there's a lot I like about She-Hulk.
Oh wait, do you think they reworked the CGI for Tarkin, or is it still about the same?
I think it's still about the same. I think it's still about the same, and nothing that they've done on television, be it CGI Luke or She-Hulk or anything like that, comes anywhere near to what they accomplished in Rogue One. Like what they did there was really, really good. And if they want to do it to that quality, then okay, you can do CGI. Yeah, then I'm like, okay, do CGI characters. At least with Star Wars, I'll leave Marvel out of it for now. But with Star Wars, but otherwise recast. Otherwise, give me Sebastian Stan in the cloak.
Thank you. That's what we thought was gonna happen.
Yeah,
and they failed us.
They had a good reason. Like, you can argue all day. You don't have to like Tarkin and Rogue One, but they had a good reason. It's like, okay, this is a day before A New Hope.
Yeah,
like he's supposed to look like this. He's supposed to look like, Peter Cushing did 40 years ago. That makes sense. Like, Luke doesn't have to look exactly the same as he did, 5 years after Return of the Jedi, or just not at all like him, like a just stupid, like a weird robot CGI man with red eyes and a weird voice.
Listen, that's why I was super skeptical when Book of Boba Fett came out, and then they were bringing Luke. I was like, okay, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? And I think they learned from their mistake. I would hope.
Book of Boba Luke is better. Yes, I will agree. But Tarkin is still Rogue One. Tarkin still number one for me.
I just want somebody, because like I swear to God, I thought it was Dylan Sprouse for a minute. Like when he first, I kid you not, I thought it was like I looked and I looked away and I was like, was that Dylan Sprouse?
The sweet life of Grogu and Mando.
I just wanted to know if I'm the only person that I will die on that ship. But like he looked like Dylan Sprouse. I was like, okay, hey, that's okay, I guess. Not Sebastian Stan, but we can.
Yeah, we'll go with Dylan. That's okay. Oh my goodness. Well, I think we'll kind of leave it there for Rogue One, and we'll hit one kind of final. Actually, we'll do what we do on the show. And we'll go around the table one more time and give kind of final thoughts on Rogue One. Obviously, it's not final thoughts. This is a movie that came out 6 years ago, and we're still talking about it. So we're
never going to talk about it ever again, guys.
We'll still continue to talk about it.
We're not talking about what was the first one that came out? A Force Awakens. It's not that I hate the movie. It was okay. I happened to lose my wallet during that first show. So that's why I don't have a gripe with the movie. The only gripe I lost my wallet during the movie. So
the experience.
Screw you, you made me lose my wallet during your movie.
Like, damn, this movie was so bad, my wallet decided to leave. Like, you paid for this, I'm leaving.
Oh my gosh. Well, your wallet has strong Star Wars opinions. My goodness.
I thought so too. Like, I was like, wow, like.
Oh my gosh! So let's give sort of final thoughts for this discussion about Rogue One and about Andor and where we're sort of how we're feeling about the two, with about 3 weeks left until the premiere of Andor. And Ben, we'll start it off with you.
Yeah. So like I've been saying, like Rogue One is a masterpiece. It is a movie that is so great, and this movie it's been a while since I actually watched it all the way through, and it really reminded me of how excellent this movie is. And bringing it back, I mean, it really is. It's a movie that belongs on the big screen. So really, they should just keep it in theaters all the time, so I can watch it anytime I want, because it isn't fair. But yeah, it's just great. And seeing the Andor footage, that was the only disappointment about the Andor footage. Was like, man. I mean, the most time we watch this on my phone, man. I can't. This deserves to be on a giant screen. It's so good. It looks so good. And watching it next to Rogue One, like watching that footage and then just goes directly into Rogue One, you're like, okay, they did it. They managed to make something that feels and it has the tone and the aesthetic and everything that Rogue One had. I think that's really a testament to this. And I'm not throwing shade at any of the other shows, really, truly, but this show, it feels different. There's something about the aesthetic and everything that just feels so good. So I'm even more hyped for Andor now. And I may have made some enemies at the theater, because our good friend Hannah was on Twitter, and she was like, "Hey, I can't get to the theater. I don't have a poster. Can somebody get me a poster?" I'm like, so yeah, Ben, I could do that.
Did you steal a poster? Did you open up one of those light boxes and take the poster out of it? Is that what you're telling us here?
I'm proud of you if you did.
May or may not have done that. But also, I'm wandering around the theater, and then at the concession stand, I see a stack of Andor posters there. And I'm like, oh, they have them. They have them because I was expecting them not to have them. Then I'm like, hey, are these for free? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, can I take 2? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then I just very clearly took 3. I was so bold.
Hey, listen, it's free game. Yeah, sure.
Greedy SOB.
I'm surprised you didn't take them all. Like that, yeah. Sure, kind of like he really did not care.
I mean, what's he gonna do about it?
I'm kind of mad because they didn't have those posters available at our theater.
Yeah,
no lie.
Mine either. Yeah, like
really. Well, I got plenty.
They better be in the mail out to all of us, man.
I went to Toronto and Texas while
like what's that behind you? It's the stack hiding on the shelf.
It's behind all those Funkos you got there.
No, you didn't see anything. You didn't see anything.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Anna, what about you? Your final thoughts on this sort of discussion we've been having about Rogue One?
Ooh, it just makes me really excited for 2-3 weeks from now. I can't count. Now I'm just thinking, do I need to take the 21st off of work just so I can, because obviously I'm going to stay up and watch, but I also wake up at like 6 a.m. just to get ready for work. And I'm like, do I just not sleep?
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what my friends and I did for Kenobi. So why not a repeat?
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Tracy, what about you? Final thoughts on this?
I mean, I'm overall just excited for it. Honestly, I honestly forgot it's like 3 weeks away. So every time I hear 3 years, I'm like, is it 3 weeks away? Like, God.
It's 20 days, guys. 20 days.
20 days.
We are in the month.
We are in the month.
Yeah.
The final countdown.
Yeah. Yeah. People keep saying, wake me up when September ends. I'm like, wake me up when September's like 2/3 of the way through. Then there's stuff I want to do.
Yeah, I'm overall excited for this show. I'm actually excited for the cameos they probably didn't announce, just to kind of keep us on edge.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's so much sort of potential for that side of things with the cameos, as we've talked about. But there's also tons of just sort of intrigue that's built in, which we've also been talking about. And the way that Tony Gilroy has kind of promised to meld the two, I think is really exciting. And Rogue One is a real special movie. It did something. In some ways, it might be the most successful Star Wars movie. We've seen in the last couple of years how difficult it can be to put out a Star Wars movie that is, both commercially successful and, doesn't result in just massive online fighting.
Riots.
And while, Rogue One by no means is loved by every single person out there, what movie is, it found the way to speak to a lot of different people, and I think it's the secret sauce for getting Star Wars back into theaters and getting Star Wars to be sort of what it was in theaters might be found within this movie. And I think Andor could show that if it's as successful as we hope it is on Disney Plus. And who knows where we'll wind up again when Star Wars eventually comes back to theaters with new content, not just re-releases and premieres of television episodes.
Do you think they should keep doing retellings of events that we just told hey, this happened?
Maybe I'm not necessarily.
Like certain events, not all events.
Yeah. Well, Solo tried to do kind of the same thing with the Kessel Run, and yeah, it's
Ben, come back. What are you doing?
Ben's just like, I'm out. It's like Solo talk. I'm out of here. But Solo tried to do that with the Kessel Run, and whatever you think of that movie, it was the least successful financially of all the Star Wars movies of all time. So it kind of shows that that's not necessarily it. But I think there's something more sort of intangible about Rogue One. There's something about the characters and their experiences and the way the story is told, where it's got Star Wars in it. It's definitely a Star Wars movie, but it's also not like hitting you in the face with, here's a Star Wars reference, here's another Star Wars reference, here's another Star Wars reference. And it's telling its own story. That also ties in with other stuff. It's not just going, criticism that sometimes gets thrown at Solo, and it's fair to a point. I think that sometimes it feels a little checklisty, like, okay, let's see how he got his gun, let's see how he met his best friend, let's see how he got his ship, let's see how he did the thing he bragged about with his ship, and you're kind of just going down the list. Rogue One, it's about stealing the Death Star plans and setting up a New Hope, but it's not. It doesn't feel like it's just sort of going through a list of things that have to happen. It's telling its own story that happens to tie in. So I don't know what exactly it is that Rogue One hit on that they've struggled to find with the other Star Wars movies, but I I think that it's worth looking at this movie again and again to sort of see maybe the key, like the key to unlocking Star Wars in the theater again is hidden in this movie. But we shall see. We shall see. Let's do a couple. Let's do one news story. We've been going for over 90 minutes here. Let's do one news story and then we'll get out of here and we'll wrap things up. And we've been talking about Andor. Let's talk about it a little bit more. We got ourselves a new poster. We got the new poster for Andor is out there.
Is that the one that you stole?
Yeah, Ben, is this?
No, I have a bone to pick with Lucasfilm, okay? The one they have the other poster out for months, and then I get my hands on the current poster I have for a day, and then they throw this one out there. Now I'm behind again. I don't like this.
Wait, do you have it with you?
No, I do not have it with me, but it'll be here next week. I'm totally, it's totally unfair, even though I'm the only one in this podcast that actually has a poster.
Yeah, which one was it that you stole? Was it the one that's just him?
The previous one that not the celebration one, which I also have. It's the other one.
Stole that one too. What? Yeah, okay. I can't picture the other one. So
I'm having trouble too.
Does it have a lot of red on it? I can't remember. Or is that the celebration one? I'm mixing it up.
Internet.
Yeah, well, I think we've found why they put out a new one, because the other one wasn't resonating with people. I think this one, does a better job of kind of selling what this show is all about. You see the characters.
That one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I like this one better. I think it kind of conveys the tone of the show a little bit better with the all the smoke in the background and kind of the night sky. And the Star Destroyers.
Honestly, they're almost the same poster.
It almost kind of looks like a mirror image opposite type of thing.
A mirror image, and it's a different color.
Yeah,
instead of red smoke, there's black smoke.
I'm sure you could just post them next to each other, and it'll be like somewhat aesthetically pleasing.
They're the same thing.
And also in the same vein of a lot of movie posters, let's put every character in the show on the poster.
It is crowded. I will say that it is a crowded poster.
So let's just take out.
But it does make for a good cast piece for like autographs and signings. I will say.
Yes.
Yes. This would be an incredible poster to like laminate and take to Celebration. Like that would be full stop.
To get them all to sign it, yeah, it'd be pretty good. All right. Well, that is the new poster, and I think that is where we will leave things for this week. It's been a great show and a great discussion.
Okay, real quick. Rian Johnson. I just had to mention his name. We'll get some hate clicks. Okay.
All right. I think. I mean, do we want to talk about it, or do we want to?
We can talk about it next week. We'll have plenty of time for that.
Yeah. I feel like we've had a really sort of warm and friendly and productive discussion, and I don't want to turn this episode into a war at the last minute.
Yeah, you're just like, oh god, don't bring up Last Jedi, don't do it. It's gonna ruin the vibe.
Don't do
it. And Ben is saying that as somebody who likes Last Jedi a lot.
Yeah.
And so there's
Look,
opinions.
I like the movie. I just got tired of talking about it. Okay.
Yeah. That's sort of where I'm at with those movies as well. As there's good, there's bad, but
then there's The Force Awakens.
Well, you lost your wallet during it, and I've never forgiven the movie for it ever since. Oh man. Well, I think with that, we will begin to wrap things up for this week. Thank you everybody for listening. The Star Wars Underworld podcast will, of course, be back next week for more discussion. I'm sure we'll talk more about Andor. I guess we'll get into the Rian Johnson stuff, and we'll have lots of fun talking about whatever else there is in Star Wars. And, of course, make sure you're on the lookout for the premiere date TBD of Tales from Beyond the Galaxy. Tracy and Anna, thank you both for being on this week. Do you want to plug your social media so that people can continue the conversation with you and check out all the cool stuff that you're both doing?
Yes. So my Instagram and TikTok are my username here, Lightning Normality. And Anna, what was the?
Yeah. I am on the Twitter, the Instagram. I'm also on Twitch too, but I don't stream as much anymore since like last year. But everything is all. Ooh, I'm bad at this pointing thing. Right there is so my gosh, Anna LOLs are that's where you can find me on all the socials. And then for the podcast, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter. The Twitter is TFBTG Pod on Twitter, and then on Instagram, let me find us. It is Beyond the Galaxy Pod on Instagram.
Nice. All right, so everybody should be following Tracy, Anna, Jordan. He mentioned his socials earlier at TBluePulsar66, and of course the Tales from Beyond the Galaxy podcast. We're so looking forward to seeing what you all do with that show, and we're so thrilled to have you here as part of the Star Wars Underworld Network. Great things are afoot. Ben, thank you as always for hosting.
Oh, this was an absolute pleasure as always. Love watching Rogue One, of course, bringing it back to talk about it, and of course, Andor, fast approaching, gonna be here before you know it. We would have already been watching it and been pushed it back, but here we are, September, the month of Andor, and man, that show's gonna go till like after Thanksgiving. Can you believe it? Like, we're gonna have so much to we're gonna have so much to watch. One episode every week. 3 episodes the first week. Oh god, Star Wars content creators, we're gonna suffer for a while. But
you say that like we don't do this because it's fun. You say that. Yeah, we're gonna suffer. Ooh.
Where the fun begins.
Yeah,
that first week's gonna be a doozy.
That's the attitude. That's the attitude, Tracy. This is where the fun begins. That's how we should be looking at this. Not Ben. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm a big party pooper. Sorry. But yeah, as I mentioned, 20 days away from Andor. And okay, hold on a second. Let me look at my ticker. Let me look at my thing. Is there anything else to count down to? Maybe in 27 days, Bad Batch season 2. Maybe, probably not.
TBD.
Yes.
Yeah,
I need my boys.
And 477 days away from maybe, kinda, sorta, probably not Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
Oh, I was wondering what you were counting down there. Like, what do we know that's that far away? Oh, Rogue Squadron, gotcha. Yeah, I really want the Bad Batch to be back in 27 days, but I have a feeling it's going to be at least twice as many days.
A new video today of here's what's coming up on Disney Plus in September, and Bad Batch was nowhere to be found.
Yeah, it's almost like, just asking the customer service person that you reach out to when you can't remember your password isn't the number one source for what's coming down the pipe from Disney Plus. It's like they're not keeping Bob in customer service in the loop on their changing release dates.
You have failed us for the last time, Bob.
Yeah. Anyway, make sure you're checking out all the shows on the Star Wars Underworld Network. Of course, there's Join the Raeside, there's Ion Canon, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, and of course the show here, the Star Wars Underworld, and eventually Pod Force 99, whenever Bad Batch eventually airs. And make sure you subscribe. Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, Star Wars Underworld on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and join up on patreon.com/the SWU for all sorts of fun stuff. And if you want to send in listener feedback for a future show, which we've got some in the pipe already, but we're constantly adding to that pile, swunderworld@gmail.com is the 12-plus-year-old email that we've been using to gather all of our emails for 12 years. It's been a long time. been a long time. But that is it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will be back next week, or some formation of the hosts. I may be calling in from another convention. We'll see where we're at. We'll see where we're at.
We never know what you're going to get on this show, eh?
Yeah, exactly. So for Ben, for Chris, for Hannah, for Jordan, for Tracy, for Anna, and all the other wonderful people here at the Star Wars Underworld Network, my name is Dominic, and may the Force be with you.
Later.
It's a wrap.